I couldn't find any good tutorials on creating meme coins, so coins on Ethereum network with tax, so I decided to make my own. So in this series of tutorials, you are going to learn how to create a coin or a token with tax, similar to the hundreds of other meme coins. All the code, it is in this GitHub repo. We're gonna do in this tutorial 3 versions of an ERC20 token that has a tax on transfer. So you can find the code here, but I suggest you, before you start copy pasting, I suggest you just watch the whole tutorial, and after that, note that meme coins can only work on where Uniswap v2 is present, so or a clone of Uniswap v2 like PancakeSwap or SushiSwap. If you plan to use Uniswap, you can only go with these blockchains at the moment. If you want to put it on the code that we're gonna run, we're gonna use Remix, but if you want to put it on a real blockchain like a testnet blockchain, you can go search, for example, BNB Faucet, and you can request to have some money sent, and after that you can see your transaction here. Now let's go into the code without wasting any more time, and we're gonna start with a very simple ERC20 token. Okay, so I'm using 0820, and in Remix the latest compiler is selected. I'm importing ERC20 from OpenZeppelin. I initialize it with a constructor with a name and symbol as required. Okay, and I mint to myself some millions of tokens. Now, how to get tax from this? So to get tax, we have to send less money to the person. So in order to do this, we need to create some custom transfer functions, and we need to override. Okay, we need to override 2 functions: the transfer function and the transfer from function. The transfer function is used regularly when a wallet sent to another one, and transfer from is mostly used by smart contracts, or is used using allowance. I won't go into it, so let's get going. Now, if we go here at File Explorer, we click Depth Contracts. Okay, we come on. So on Depth npm OpenZeppelin contracts token ERC20, we can find the ERC20 that we are importing here. And if we go to the function transfer, let's just go to the function transfer. This function we will override it. Okay, so what does it call? So it just calls this function here. So let's just copy paste this code and put it in our code. Same for the transfer from. Okay, and we want to test if this override is working okay. So the easiest way I can think of is just to create a counter. So we create a counter. You don't need to initialize it with 0 because it's already initialized with 0. Okay, so we're gonna just increase the counter when we call these functions. Now we know that every time someone calls transfer, this counter will get increased. Let's compile it. Okay, we have an error saying that this one should return something. So let's add this return value. Let's quickly deploy it. So I'm just going to use a remix environment. We select the first address here and we need to give it a name. Log1. After you click transact, you see your contract deployed here. If I'm going too fast and you are not familiar with Remix, I suggest you check out a more beginner tutorial how to write hello world in Solidity and how to use Remix IDE, because this one is a little bit more advanced. You can follow it, you can pause the video and try to follow it, but if you have no experience with Solidity smart contracts, I suggest you try some hello world tutorials and come back to this tutorial once you're familiar with Remix. Okay, so I have the deployed contract here and I'm just going to transfer to this wallet, the second wallet, 100. Once I do the transaction, this function will get executed and the counter, as you see, increased with 1. Okay, so now we have the fundamentals, the basis of our tax coin. We need to override these functions. Okay, we need to do something here. Good. So what we do now, it's just create another version of this. Let's copy paste this contract and we call it Tiny Dodge V1, and let's add the tax. So first remove the counter and let's add a variable called, for example, tax percentage. Now, tax percentage in Solidity, you can't just put 4.2% because Solidity doesn't have decimals. So we're gonna do a little trick. Let's multiply the percentage with 100. So if we multiply by 100, this means this is 10% initial. If we would want 1%, we just put here 100. Now we can add a function to modify this as an owner later. So tax percentage. So we have new tax. In a real scenario, you would have here only owner. So you can also limit this tax not to be too high. So for example, this tax cannot must be less than 10% if you want to do it. And now we have to integrate this tax percentage into here. So the sender sends to the address 2 this amount, and we have to take a tax from it. So how do we do that? Well, we can do the following. We can calculate the tax amount, and this is a value multiplied by the tax percentage divided by 10,000. Okay, and let's transfer to the owner the amount after the tax. So we go, instead of this value here, the whole amount of value, we're gonna do value minus tax amount. And what we do with the tax, if the tax amount is greater than 0, you transfer it to the smart contract. So instead of 2, address this address of this smart contract. and it is here the tax amount. Let's go ahead and compile it. All okay. Let's test it. So this is V1. I don't know, I forgot to change the name. V1. Okay, so V1. Okay, I'm gonna copy this account here because it's easier to work with. So let's send to this account here some money. If I say send 100 and you know the tax is 10%, this means that the contract address here should receive how many? Well, 10 tokens. So let's, now it has 0 tokens. We're gonna transfer it, and now let's check. Yes, it got 10 tokens. So very good. How many tokens did this address receive? Well, 90 tokens. And we have to transfer this logic also to the transfer from. So I'm gonna replace this logic here. We have the tax amount. Instead of the owner, we have from. And that should be okay. If you want, pause the video, republish this contract, give the allowance to address the second account, and test this function transfer from, and you will see that it works on the same principle. Everything will be okay. So we are a little bit done. So we have just one more step to do, but in principle this is how you take taxes on transfers. Now I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. Let's say pre-publish. So I'm gonna copy it and paste it. I'm gonna call it V2. Okay. Now I need, before I publish this, or before you publish it, we need to add a couple of things. First of all, we need to add ownable to this smart contract, so it has an owner. So how we do that? The ownable is found under contracts, access, ownable, and you need to declare this contract as ownable. You need to add here an address initial owner, and here after the RC initial owner, and now you have access. I don't know why it doesn't want to compile it. Okay, now you have access to only owner, so we're gonna make this function only owner modifier, so only owner can call this. Good. Now I'm gonna make a list of addresses that are exempt from taxes. For example, you as an owner, or this smart contract, they should be exempt from the taxes. So how to do that? Let's create a mapping of address. Let's make it bold for now. Tax exempt. Do not take tax if this address. Yeah, Okay, so first let's add a function that sets the status of this tax exempt. Okay, so this mapping here, and let's add the owner and the address initially after publishing it. So let's make it public. So we have it public. We add the owner and the address to tax exempt, and we should write here a check if they are tax exempt. So for example, now depends here on your logic what you want to do, but for our case here, I want to exclude both wallets if one of them is in tax exempt. They should be excluded from the transfers. Okay, so if they are tax exempt, directly transfer the whole amount. And let's just copy here. Okay, let's test it. I'm gonna compile it. I'm gonna put the third account here for testing. Yeah. This is the owner. Okay. Now I'm gonna transfer to this one, and the balance, I shouldn't have any tax taken. Transfer, and you see the balance is 0. Now if I go to the second account, which is not tax exempt, and I transfer to the third one, you see tax is taken. So this is how you would add this tax exempt. Now we need to have also a function to withdraw taxes. External only owner, and we just call transfer from this address to the owner. The amount. You can replace one with balance of this account, or just leave it like this. All right, now one last thing that I would want to make this token really pretty, like the best stuff for late, is I want to add ERC20 permit to it. And ERC20 permit is under ERC20 extensions, ERC20 permit. And with this one, we need to put it here. Come on. And also we need to add it here in the constructor so we can have gasless approval. ERC20 permit any dodge. Did extensions ERC20. I don't know why Remix doesn't want to compile it. Okay, so here it is. And there you go. You have a simple tax on transfer. Now we are going to do the next tutorial on taxes on swaps. So when you buy or sell the token, you do tax there on swap. Now I can't do this the next tutorial for free, but I can make it just for $1. I won't get rich with your $1, but it is a way to test the payment system and to see if it works. So if you want to have access to the next tutorial, which talks about swaps, taxes on swap, so you tax on Uniswap, on buy or on sell, please check out the description of this video. And if you don't find the info here, because sometimes YouTube removes it, check out my repo in GitHub, and you will find there the information how to get access to the second tutorial, which is a tutorial similar to this one, but a little bit bigger, because it's a little bit more complex there. How to do taxes on swaps. Thank you, and see you on the next one.